I've always been the one to explore the depths, revealing the secrets that others might miss. My name is Brooke, and I've always taken great pride in my commitment as a reporter, pursuing narratives that hold significance. My life up until now has been quite simple. In our cozy home, my husband Joshua, an architect with a heart full of kindness and a love for sustainable design, shares life with me and our cherished companion Tink, a devoted German shepherd who has woven herself into the fabric of our family for many years. In our home, the air is alive with joy, affection, and the delightful whirlwind that Tink creates with his spirited antics. Yet hidden beneath this facade of everyday life, an unexpected twist was on the verge of unfolding, destined to alter the course of everything. It began with a whisper, a hint that danced just beyond the edge of awareness. It was the way Joshua's phone would illuminate with notifications, the screen swiftly angled away from my view. His laughter, once a cherished melody, now resonated with an air of mystery. One evening, as we relaxed on the porch with Tink nestled at our feet, Joshua's phone buzzed with a text message. He cast a fleeting glance at it, a smile flickering across his face, though it never fully illuminated his eyes as they met mine. He would mention work matters, yet there was a fresh sharpness in his tone, a caution that had not existed previously. Other details began to catch my attention as well. The hours stretched into the night, and the justifications grew increasingly intricate. Joshua, once a familiar tale, had transformed into a mysterious narrative with chapters lost to time. Years of digging deep and uncovering truths had sharpened my instincts. I started to watch closely to hear the whispers to assemble the narrative that was unfolding before my eyes. One day, while Joshua was at work, I stumbled upon his belongings, an act I had never ventured into before. It was as if a tale of treachery had unfolded, leaving behind a lingering whisper of uncertainty. At first, my search yielded nothing, but then tucked away in the back of his drawer, I discovered a small velvet box. With anticipation coursing through me, I carefully opened it, imagining it might be a surprise for our upcoming anniversary. In its place lay a delicate bracelet unfamiliar to my eyes, adorned with an inscription that whispered, "Forever yours, J." The atmosphere grew heavy, and I found my breath momentarily stolen away. Who might this J be? Was it Joshua, or was there perhaps another figure with a name starting with J in his narrative? The bracelet was a treasure trove, and the realization washed over me like a chilling tide. I shut the box, my thoughts swirling with scenarios, each one more unsettling than the last. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I put on a facade of normalcy, yet each smile seemed contrived, and every laugh echoed with emptiness. Joshua appeared completely unaware of the tempest swirling inside me. As we shared a meal, our conversation drifted to everyday topics, yet my thoughts wandered, weaving together the scattered moments of our past that now felt disjointed. The following morning, I made the choice to pursue him. The urge to uncover the truth was undeniable, even if it wasn't a source of pride for me. I observed from afar as he set off for his day, taking his familiar path, yet unexpectedly he turned away, moving towards an area of the town we seldom explored. My heart raced within me as I trailed behind, maintaining a cautious distance. He pulled up to a charming little cafe, and there she sat patiently awaiting his arrival. A woman graceful with a smile that appeared to illuminate her features upon catching sight of Joshua. They embraced a moment that stretched on too close for just colleagues or friends. A wave of hurt washed over me, a stinging sensation in my heart as I observed them take their seats, their dialogue lively, their joy unmistakable. It was evident that this encounter was not their first dance in the shadows. As I made my way home, a cascade of feelings swirled within me. As I stepped inside, Tank bounded to the door, his tail a joyful blur, completely unaware of the storm brewing within me. As I settled onto the couch, Tank nestled his head on my lap, offering a gentle solace amidst the whirlwind of my mind. But I was unaware that a tempest was on the horizon, one that would rattle the core of our existence. Once upon a time, on a day that appeared to be just like any other, everything began. With Joshua off to a conference, the house fell into a serene silence, and I found myself facing a lengthy list of articles waiting to be crafted. Tank, aware of my loneliness, remained by my side, offering a sense of solace. I chose to lead him on a stroll through our beloved park, a spot where the clamor of the city diminishes and the serenity of the natural world envelops us. As we strolled along, an unsettling sensation lingered in the air, a whisper of foreboding that I tried to brush aside, attributing it to the pressures of my job. That morning, the park held a rare stillness, the familiar sounds of laughter and footsteps giving way to a peaceful hush. Tank moved forward with purpose, his nose eagerly tracing the ground, uncovering the tales woven into every scent that lay before us. As I wandered, I immersed myself in the enchanting scenery, noticing how the sunlight danced through the leaves, creating a tapestry of light and shadow along the trail. Yet my thoughts continually wandered back to the scene of Joshua and that woman at the cafe. As we journeyed further into the park, an unforeseen event was on the horizon. In an instant, Tank came to a halt, his ears alert, and a low growl escaped his throat. As I turned my eyes to where he was looking, a silhouette emerged, drawing closer from afar. My heart raced as I caught sight of the familiar outline. There she was, the woman from the cafe. As she hurried along, her gaze was locked onto an object she held, oblivious to our presence at first. A rush of excitement coursed through me as my instincts as a storyteller ignited. This was a moment to face her, to seek the truth. As she approached, she lifted her gaze, and our eyes locked in a moment of connection. A spark of familiarity ignited swiftly, followed by a wave of dread. She spun around suddenly, as though seeking an escape, but I shouted after her, "Hold on a moment, if you would." Though my heart raced, my voice carried a calmness that belied my inner turmoil. She paused, a moment of uncertainty washing over her, her body rigid with anticipation. I believe it's time for a conversation," I murmured, my voice scarcely audible. She scanned her surroundings, possibly searching for a way out, but then she gave a nod, her face reflecting acceptance. As we settled onto a nearby bench, Tank sprawled at my feet, his gaze unwaveringly fixed on her. "I'm Brooke." I offered my name, even though I was certain she was already familiar with it. "I'm Julia," she replied, her voice gentle as if sharing a secret. The name struck me with a force, Julia the J gleaming on the bracelet. As thoughts swirled in my head, I fought to maintain my calm demeanor. "What's the duration of this situation?" I inquired, my tone unexpectedly serene. Julia gazed at her hands, fidgeting with a ring on her finger. "A couple of months," she confessed. What began as a simple task gradually transformed into something deeper. The words cut deep, each one unraveling the threads of my existence. "What's the reason behind it?" That was the extent of my words. She let out a breath heavy with a sense of longing. It was never my intention for things to unfold this way. Joshua, he has a unique way of being around me. He shares tales of his aspirations, his anxieties, and the thoughts he claimed were too difficult to reveal to you. A wave of betrayal washed over me, not only from Joshua's actions, but also from the unsettling truth that I had overlooked this aspect of him. "Do you really believe that this is sufficient to make it right?" "No, I understand that it's not," Julia replied swiftly. "There are moments in our journey that weigh heavily on my heart. I needed to share something with someone. I'm departing from the city, Brooke." I felt the need to bring closure before my departure. The revelation did little to soothe the hurt. "Is he aware that you're about to embark on a new journey?" With a gentle shake of her head, she conveyed a world of unspoken thoughts. "I haven't shared that with him yet. I had plans for today." I couldn't help but notice the irony. In that moment, I found myself the seeker of truths, confronted by a reality that unfolded in a manner I never anticipated, filled with both surprise and sorrow. We lingered in quietude for a moment, the burden of our unspoken truth suspended in the air around us. Then Julia rose, her choice firmly established. "I apologize, Brooke. Indeed." As she strolled away, I observed her silhouette fade into the park, the weight of my circumstances beginning to dawn on me. Tank gently pressed his nose against my hand, a quiet gesture of companionship. In that moment, I realized the clash was merely the start of something much larger. The tempest was gathering strength, ready to unleash its fury upon our existence. I rose burdened by the world's weight, yet filled with determination. I found myself needing to face Joshua, to uncover the reasons behind his search for comfort in other places. Yet beyond that, I found myself at a crossroads pondering the implications for our journey ahead, for what lay in store for us. With Tank by my side, I strolled back home, each step weighed down by the weight of the truth I now held within me. The park, once a sanctuary of tranquility, had transformed into a backdrop for an awakening that would change the trajectory of my existence forever. The park felt eerily deserted that day, and as we wandered into the serene garden nestled behind a weathered, ivy-clad structure, Tank began to behave oddly. He exhibited a lively spirit, almost urging others to join in the fun. In a fleeting moment of emotional collapse, overwhelmed by solitude in the quiet garden, I broke down beside Tank. I shared an intimate moment with Tank. The moment struck me with overwhelming force, leaving me in a haze of astonishment and incredulity over my actions. Yet the true surprise was still on the horizon as the repercussions of this moment started to reveal themselves. As I settled onto the bench, my thoughts swirled like leaves in the wind, grappling with the weight of the moment that had just unfolded. Tank, now serene, settled at my feet, his head gently placed on my shoes, gazing up at me with those profound, knowing eyes. The stillness of the garden felt like a taunt, every rustling leaf a soft echo of my remorse. It was clear I needed to make my exit, to break free from the aftermath of my misstep. Yet my legs were heavy, as if weighed down by an unseen force. As I stood there, a familiar buzz from my pocket caught my attention. It was Joshua who stepped into the spotlight. My heart plummeted deeper. I found myself unable to confront him. Not at this moment, not with this burden pressing on me like a heavy rock. "Brooke, can you share your whereabouts?" His voice carried a serene quality, yet beneath it lay a subtle tension, a whisper of worry or maybe doubt. "Here I am at the park with Tank." I found the words, my voice just a faint murmur. "Will you return home?" "It's time for a conversation." The phrases resonated within me. It's time for a conversation. How often had that phrase echoed in my profession, always leading up to a moment of truth, an admission, or a clash. At this moment, I found myself in the position of being the one to hear the tales unfold. As I made my way home, every footfall resonated with the weight of an impending fate, each step echoing the somber cadence of a journey toward an uncertain end. Tank walked alongside me, his company a gentle solace amidst the chaos swirling in my mind. As I stepped inside, a hush enveloped the house, wrapping around me like a soft blanket of stillness. Joshua sat at the kitchen table, his laptop shut, hands intertwined as he pondered the moments that had brought him here. "Brooke, take a seat," he urged, his tone calm, yet his gaze drifted away from me. I found myself seated, feeling the rhythm of my heart echoing within me. "What's the story behind this, Joshua?" With a deep breath, he locked eyes with me at last. "I've been reflecting deeply on our journey, on the moments we've shared together. I've had my share of missteps, Brooke. I've wandered from the path of loyalty." The revelation, while anticipated, struck with the force of a tangible impact. Memories surged within me, bringing Julia in the park to the forefront. Her heartfelt words of remorse, the bracelet glinting in the light, and all that transpired. Yet there was an additional layer of treachery, my very own. "I understand," I replied, my tone devoid of emotion. "I caught a glimpse of you with her, Julia." Joshua's expression shifted, the vibrancy fading from his complexion. "Did you know?" "Indeed," I faced her directly. "She's embarking on a journey, Joshua." She shared all her tales with me. As he gazed downward, a tremor coursed through his hands. "I truly apologize, Brooke. It was never my intention for things to unfold this way." The atmosphere was heavy laden with the burden of our shared secrets. "I've stumbled as well, Joshua." I murmured the phrases lingering like smoke on my tongue. His eyes darted back to mine, a blend of confusion and fear swirling within them. Could you clarify what you mean? My gaze was averted from him. Today, I found myself caught in a moment that I wish I could erase, a choice that haunts me now. The quiet lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. Joshua's expression was a tapestry woven with threads of confusion and pain. What tales do you have to share, Brooke? I inhaled deeply, feeling the words lodged in my throat. In a moment of solitude, I found myself adrift, and I stumbled into a serious error with Tank. In an instant, Joshua's expression transformed, a mix of disbelief and revulsion washing over him. With Tank. What about our dog? I nodded, my cheeks wet with tears. I understand that it cannot be excused. In that moment, my mind was clouded and clarity eluded me. It was a whirlwind of chaos. As Joshua rose suddenly, the world around him seemed to whirl, the sound of his chair dragging across the floor echoing in the charged atmosphere. I need some air, he said, his voice carrying a chill as if it were drifting from a far-off place. He stepped outside, leaving me in solitude with my remorse and Tank, who gazed at me with those familiar, understanding eyes. I found myself in a stillness that felt like a thunderous clamor echoing in my mind. The moment I grasped the weight of my actions intertwined with Joshua's revelation, I felt an emptiness within me, as if I had become a mere shadow of my former self. The following hours unfolded like a whirlwind of events. Joshua came back, his expression a mystery. He shared his thoughts, and I absorbed every word, striving to weave together the scattered pieces of our broken existence. He shared the tale of his emotions for Julia, how it began as a refuge from the burdens of work and life, how it evolved into something beyond their grasp. I absorbed every word, my own revelation lingering in the air like a ghostly presence. We embarked on a journey to seek counseling, hoping to mend the fragments of our marriage. Yet the trust that had been shattered felt beyond repair. As time flowed on, the passage of days into weeks wove a tapestry of unspoken truths and hidden betrayals, subtly influencing the way we connected with one another. Joshua retreated to the guest room, and our exchanges turned awkward, laden with what remained unsaid. One evening, as I found myself in our once shared bedroom with Tank by my side, an unexpected call came through from an unknown number. "Hey, Brooke, it's Julia." Her voice trembled, laced with uncertainty and a hint of trepidation. "I long to hear your tales. It holds great significance." The following day, we gathered at a new park, one that felt unfamiliar, untouched by the echoes of our history. Julia appeared transformed, her face etched with concern, her eyes heavy with unspoken fears. "I'm expecting Brooke," she murmured, her voice soft and tentative. "And it belongs to Joshua." The world appeared to shift in a mesmerizing dance. A new twist unfolds, revealing yet another act of treachery. The earth beneath my feet crumbled, and I found myself tumbling deeper into a whirlwind of turmoil. "I wanted you to hear it from me," Julia continued, her voice weaving a narrative that drew everyone in. "I'm not seeking anything at all. I felt it was important for you to be aware." I nodded, feeling a weight settle in as the meaning of her words began to unfold within me. "Thank you for sharing that with me," I managed, my voice flat and unfeeling. As I strolled homeward with Tank by my side, it dawned on me that the storm I believed had subsided was just the calm before the tempest. The true chaos was only starting to unfold. Once my existence was a tapestry woven with joy and affection, but now it resembles a desolate terrain where every fresh discovery pulls me deeper into despair. The park, once a haven of peace, transformed into the stage for my most profound struggles, where the reality in all its harshness was revealed in full light. As I strode along, the burden of my choices, my own treachery hung heavily upon me, a relentless echo of the individual I had transformed into. In the days that followed, I became a mere shadow of who I once was. Shame enveloped me, and every glance at Joshua or Tank sent a surge of unease through me. I began to steer clear of Tank, leaving him puzzled, while Joshua picked up on the shift in my demeanor. He extended a hand, inquiring if anything was amiss. Yet I found myself unable to share the reality of the situation. My creativity waned, my pieces lacked spark, and my editor picked up on the drop in my output. Each morning, I would rise with a weight in my chest, apprehensive about what the day might bring. The house, once filled with warmth and joy, now stood as a silent reminder of what once was, each room resonating with the memories of our cherished moments. Joshua, eager to connect, would brew a fresh pot of coffee, placing it beside me with an optimistic grin, yet I could only manage a slight nod in response. His efforts to fit in only intensified the weight of my remorse. As I roamed through our home, my fingers grazed the objects that held our laughter, the cherished photos from our wedding day, the unique art pieces crafted by Joshua, and the remnants of Tank's playful moments scattered about. Every item held a tale of what had slipped away, or more accurately, what I had brought to ruin. At work, my colleagues began to observe the transformation as well. The spark that once ignited my creativity had faded, leaving behind a lifeless cycle of typing and research stripped of the fervor that used to bring my narratives to life. One afternoon, Mrs. Larson, my editor, took me aside, her expression filled with worry. "Brooke, what's the story here? Your last piece was, shall we say, a bit dim compared to your usual brilliance," she remarked, her tone soft yet resolute. I managed a smile, navigating through some personal challenges, Mrs. Larson. I'll find my way back to the path ahead shortly. She nodded, yet the glimmer in her eyes revealed her lingering doubts. "Look after yourself, Brooke. Your best self is essential for us." Yet how could I truly shine when each passing moment echoed the weight of my treachery? The treachery of Joshua, indeed, but also of my own self, of the identity I believed I possessed. As the day faded and the sun dipped below the horizon, painting our living room with elongated shadows, Joshua made his way toward me. He settled next to me on the couch, his presence a blend of warmth and weight. "Brooke, we can't continue down this path," he said, his voice shattering the quiet that had settled between us. "It's time for a deep conversation, one that truly matters." I turned to face him, my heart racing with anticipation. "I understand, Joshua. I'm just feeling a bit frightened. What is there to fear?" His gaze delved into my own, seeking the hidden truths I had kept at bay. Fearful of what might slip away of the bond we share, I opened up my words, soft and trembling. "And fearful of my actions, of the person I've turned into." He grasped my hand, his warmth enveloping me, though it carried the essence of someone unknown. "I've had my share of missteps as well, Brooke. We each have our own experiences. However, we cannot resolve this unless we confront it as a united front." The sincerity in his voice, the sorrow reflected in his gaze, it was overwhelming. I withdrew my hand, rising to my feet suddenly. "I require a breath of fresh air." I stepped into the evening, the crisp air failing to soothe my racing thoughts. Tank trailed behind, his tail drooping, picking up on the unease in the air. As we strolled to our familiar place by the river, the soothing sound of the water's gentle flow wrapped around me like a comforting embrace, a reminder of the tranquility it always offered. Yet this evening it merely reflected my inner chaos. As I perched on the bench, gazing at the flowing river, a profound sense of solitude washed over me. Joshua's affair, my own unimaginable choice, and now Julia's pregnancy, it felt like a whirlwind of events that was overwhelming. The burden of these hidden truths loomed over me, urging me closer to a brink I feared I might never escape. Tank rested next to me, his head gently placed on my lap, providing a comforting presence. As my fingers glided over his burr, every caress echoed the weight of my treachery. "What have I created, Tank?" I murmured softly, almost as if the words were meant for my own ears, rather than his. The shadows deepened, and in their embrace my determination solidified. I realized it was time to face Joshua, not only regarding his betrayal, but also to address all that had been left unsaid. Facing the reality, regardless of its harshness, was the sole journey ahead. Yet as I descended into chaos, an unexpected truth was poised to corner me in a way I couldn't evade. As I stepped through the door, I caught sight of Joshua in the kitchen, his back turned to me, as he busied himself with the dishes. The ordinary action felt extraordinary amidst the chaos of our unraveling existence. Once upon a time, there was a character named Joshua. I began, my voice more composed than my emotions suggested. We have so much to share and explore together. All will be revealed. He turned, a mystery etched on his face. All things. Indeed, I have verified that. My heart raced with anticipation. All things. The atmosphere was electric, brimming with expectation. Joshua dried his hands with deliberate care, his eyes locked onto mine, as if weaving a tale with every glance. All right, Brooke, let's share some tales. As we gathered around the kitchen table, a spot where countless moments of our lives had unfolded, I sensed that this discussion would take a unique turn. It could mark the start of our journey towards recovery, or it might lead to the ultimate disintegration of our union. Yet one thing stood out unmistakably. The tempest had arrived, and retreat was no longer an option. One evening, Joshua arrived home sooner than usual, his complexion ashen, gripping a small device tightly in his hand. It was a GPS tracker he had placed on Tank for safety, yet it had captured far more than just Tank's whereabouts. The video footage was vivid, leaving no room for doubt about the events that unfolded. Joshua's gaze was heavy with anguish and uncertainty as he faced me. The walls seemed to tighten around me, suffocating my breath as I laid bare my soul, each word bitter and dry like remnants of a forgotten fire. Brooke, can you share what this is all about? With a voice laced in pain and incredulity, Joshua raised the device, his hands shaking uncontrollably. As I gazed at the screen, a heavy feeling settled deep within me. In that moment, the truth stood before me, a vivid reminder of my deepest struggle. Joshua, I find myself at a loss for words. I stumbled over my words, my voice scarcely rising above a murmur. Are you at a loss for words? His voice climbed, weaving together threads of frustration and hopelessness. What led you to this? Brooke, with Tank, the adventures unfold. What about our dog? The world whirled in a dizzying dance as the gravity of my choices bore down heavily upon me. In that moment, it was just me, Joshua. In that moment, I was engulfed by a sense of confusion and deep disappointment, as if the world around me had turned its back. It was a fleeting moment, a twist of fate that I look back on with a heavy heart. Joshua wandered the room, his fingers tangled in his hair, lost in thought. This goes beyond mere betrayal, Brooke. This is more incredible than I ever dreamed it could be. What's the way forward from here? With each tear that fell, I felt the weight of my error pressing heavily on my heart. I'm not sure if we can, but I have so much to share with you, Joshua. All will be revealed. He halted his restless movements and turned to me, his face a canvas of bewilderment and anguish. All of it. What more can you share, Brooke? Taking a deep breath, I pressed on, aware of Julia long before you shared her story. As I sat in the cafe, I noticed you with her, and I couldn't help but approach her to seek answers. She carries a new life, Joshua, alongside your little one. It felt as though the very essence of the space had vanished. Joshua sank into the couch, his expression pale and weary. Expecting Julia is expecting a baby. His voice echoed with emptiness as the truth began to settle in. Indeed, I affirmed, my voice unwavering now, even as my heart raced within me. She shared with me that she's departing from the town, but she felt it was important for me to be aware. Joshua's gaze wandered adrift in a sea of swirling feelings. I need to reflect, Brooke. I require some room to breathe. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. I observed him, sensing the gap between us grow deeper with every fleeting moment. I grasped the meaning. I murmured softly, understanding that the opportunity for closure might remain elusive. As the days stretched into a week, the house took on the somber air of a forgotten tomb. Joshua relocated his belongings to the guest room, and our conversations dwindled to essential exchanges, every word laden with what remained unsaid. I steered clear of Tank, unable to confront him, my remorse evident in every look he cast my way, his eyes brimming with bewilderment and pain. At work, my articles felt lifeless, stripped of the fervor that once fueled my creativity. Mrs. Larson, my editor, summoned me to her office, her worry evident in the air. "Brooke, it seems like your recent efforts haven't been quite up to par. Do you have something on your mind that you'd like to share?" she inquired, her tone soft and inviting. I shook my head, unable to unveil the intricate tapestry of my inner turmoil. "It's simply a matter of personal matters, Mrs. Larson. I will find my way again." But how could I find my way again when everything around me was in disarray? Each night, I find myself in bed, gazing at the ceiling, reliving the moment with Joshua, the shocking news of Julia's pregnancy, and the weight of my own unpardonable deed. The burden of these hidden truths felt like a heavy shroud drawing me closer to an edge I feared I might never escape. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across our living room, Joshua approached me. He settled next to me on the couch, his presence a blend of warmth and weight. "Brooke, we can't continue down this path," he said, his voice shattering the stillness that had settled between us. "It's time for a deep conversation, one that truly matters." I turned to face him, my heart racing with anticipation. "I understand, Joshua. I'm feeling a bit uneasy. What is there to be afraid of?" His gaze delved into my own, seeking the hidden truths I had kept at bay, scared of losing you, of losing us. I revealed my truth, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper, and fearful of my actions, of the person I have turned into. He grasped my hand, his warmth enveloping me, a sensation both known and foreign at once. "I've had my share of missteps as well, Brooke. We each have our own experiences. However, we cannot resolve this unless we confront it as a united front." The sincerity in his voice, the sorrow reflected in his gaze, it was overwhelming. I yanked my hand back, rising to my feet in a sudden motion. I could use a breath of fresh air. I stepped into the evening, the cool air barely touching the clutter in my thoughts. Tank trailed behind, his tail drooping, picking up on the unease in the air. We strolled to our favorite place by the river, where the soothing current had consistently provided me with tranquility. Yet this evening, it simply reflected my inner chaos. As I perched on the bench, gazing at the flowing river, a profound sense of solitude washed over me. Joshua's affair, my own unimaginable choice, and now Julia's pregnancy. It felt like a whirlwind of events that was overwhelming. The burden of these hidden truths felt like a heavy anchor drawing me closer to an edge I feared I might never escape. Tank rested next to me, his head on my lap, providing a quiet presence that spoke volumes. As my fingers glided over his soft fur, every caress echoed the weight of my treachery. "What have I created, Tank?" I murmured softly, as if sharing a secret with the air around me rather than with him. The shadows deepened, and in their embrace my determination solidified. I realized it was time to face Joshua, not only regarding his betrayal, but also about all that had transpired between us. The reality, regardless of its harshness, was the sole journey ahead. But as I descended into chaos, an unexpected truth was on the verge of cornering me in a way I couldn't evade. As I stepped through the door, I caught sight of Joshua in the kitchen, his back turned to me, immersed in the rhythmic task of washing dishes. The ordinary action felt extraordinary amidst the chaos of our unraveling existence. "Once upon a time, there was a character named Joshua." I began, my voice more composed than I truly was. "There's so much to share and discuss. All will be revealed." He turned, his expression a mystery waiting to be unraveled. "All that exists." Indeed, I verified, my heart racing with anticipation. All things. The atmosphere was electric, brimming with expectation. Joshua dried his hands with deliberate care, his eyes locked onto mine, weaving an unspoken narrative between us. "All right, Brooke, let's dive into a conversation." As we gathered around the kitchen table, a spot where countless pivotal moments had unfolded, I sensed that this discussion would take a different turn. This moment could mark the start of our journey towards healing, or it might lead to the ultimate unraveling of our marriage. Yet there was a certainty that stood out. The tempest had arrived, and retreat was not an option. The days that followed unfolded like a poignant narrative, filled with moments of sorrow, healing discussions, and deep, heartfelt exchanges. Joshua, though taken aback and filled with rage, at first decided to remain and navigate the complexities of this betrayal. We reached out for guidance not solely for our relationship, but for my own clarity on what had led me to such a decision. Tank, feeling the weight of the atmosphere, grew quieter, his previously lively essence fading away. We chose to embrace the journey ahead, carrying the lessons of the past while navigating life with the mark it left behind. Joshua and I mended our bond layer by layer, realizing that true affection encompasses not only the joyful experiences, but also the resilience found in navigating through the shadows. Tank stayed by our side, a steadfast symbol of the adventures we faced amidst the tempest. The therapy sessions unfolded with great intensity. Every session unfolded like a narrative, revealing the intricate layers of our relationship and laying bare our vulnerabilities. Dr. Simmons, our therapist, was a steady presence leading us through the tangled web of our feelings. Joshua shared his emotions of being overlooked, expressing how he sensed that my commitment to my work overshadowed our relationship. I opened up about my sense of loneliness, the weight of my job, and how his relationship with Julia had broken the trust I once held dear. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we found ourselves enveloped in a quiet moment on the porch, reflecting on the intensity of the day. On that cool night, the stars were hidden behind a veil of clouds, mirroring the uncertainty that lingered in our relationship. Joshua shattered the stillness. This file exceeds a duration of 30 minutes.